Hello. The residents under your direction are here because of the end result of their behaviors, actions on their part that jeopardized or damaged the safety and security of the community. However, there are often multiple factors that produce this result, and you're probably familiar with many of them. Some may be long-standing or take years to have their effects. This may include the effects of broken families, intellectual or psychiatric impairments, prenatal birth trauma, poverty, lack of proper discipline and structure, negative peer pressure, educational failure, abuse, poor role models, and many other factors. Other times, more immediate factors may be of greater significance. For example, this might involve intoxication, immature reactions to extreme stress, not understanding personal limitations in a new situation, and other events that resulted in the person acting uncharacteristically, but just as dangerous in a situation. And of course, there are many others. In fact, your training and experience has probably taught you that it is often a combination of factors, some that we understand and some that we don't, that result in criminal behavior. And you probably understand that these circumstances are unique for each person. Understanding these issues is essential to both manage and help rehabilitate the residents who are under your supervision. The more you know about what makes a person tick, the better you can do your job and hopefully help people successfully return to their communities. It's easy to get discouraged and defensive when working with this population. Nobody wants to get hurt or see anyone else hurt. Being the target of someone else's verbal anger or bad attitude is difficult, whether or not you are paid. However, the good news is that nobody can misbehave all the time, or actually most of the time. The key is to find those opportunities when you can reach out positively to your residents. There are basic approaches that you can follow with most residents with good results, though patience is key. It took a long time for most people to end up in corrections, and it takes time to change directions. While you have significant authority to limit their aggressive behavior, you have even more ability to help them find new ways of approaching old situations. Remember that you serve as a role model, and this is reflected in how you interact with people and handle daily situations. Many residents have not had effective role models in their lives, and the unique situation of incarceration magnifies the influence that you exert on each and every person. Remember that you are being watched every minute of every day, being imitated and evaluated on a number of factors. This includes how you react and manage situations, the consistency and stability of your interactions with others over time. Are you fair and reasonable? Do you listen well as expect to be listened to? Do you follow through on your commitments at the same level that you expect of the residents? Do you remain calm under fire? Are you assured and confident without being cocky? Do you have a true regard for each person and can see all sides of who they are? Just how well do you know the people that you are responsible for? Can you understand someone else's perspective, even if you don't agree? How clearly do you communicate others? It's often said that it's not what you say, but what another person hears. Do you know how to pick your battles? Can you keep your eye on the big picture and not get distracted? For example, if your primary goal is to transport a resident to another room and he is generally fussing but moving along, do you really need to address his fussing if it's not causing other problems? With over 30 years in the field of working with people with very significant behavior challenges, I can tell you that there are very few people who don't want to succeed. The problem is that people may not know how to. They may have long-standing behavior patterns that take significant time and consistency to change. Some people don't recognize their problems, or they may have underlying issues that may not go away. Hammering away at these problems rarely works and can often make things worse. Your responsibility is to understand these issues and find ways to work around them. This not only makes your job easier and more rewarding, but also helps people learn new ways of coping with a seemingly impossible problem. One of these challenges may involve brain injury. Research studies indicate that half or more of all people in juvenile and adult justice systems have had a brain injury or other neurological impairment at some point in their life. Sometimes this will be from a car crash, an assault, fall, or other traumatic event. Other times it can be caused by a lack of oxygen, such as from a heart attack or a near drowning. Poisoning sometimes occurs from drug overdose or exposure to toxic fumes. Sometimes brain injuries occurred during pregnancy due to trauma to the fetus, adverse brain development because the mother was abusing substances during pregnancy, illness, or other genetic factors. Medical issues such as stroke, brain tumor, or other disorders can also cause brain injury. Needless to say, your brain is involved in just about everything you think, feel, do, understand, communicate, and react to. It is the one organ of your body that makes you whole. Different parts of your brain may be responsible for different skills and abilities, but in most cases, who you are and what you do requires the integration of its many different areas. For example, the ability to learn and remember can be disrupted by damage in more than a half dozen areas of your brain, as can the ability to speak, see, control body movements, and most other skills that we take for granted. In a similar manner, a seemingly clear-cut behavioral pattern may have many different neurological causes. Consider shouting out in anger. It can be caused by damage in areas of the midbrain that control basic emotions, damage to speech and language centers in the temporal lobes, which can cause confusion and frustration in acting out, damage to the sensory cortex, which can cause pain, and so on. No, you really don't need the training of a brain surgeon to understand this in your job. But it is important to understand that if a person's brain has been affected by any of these factors, he or she may think, reason, act, or communicate or respond differently because, in part, the brain operates differently. As a result, they may understand and behave in different ways. If you don't understand the reason why they are acting differently, you may assume the wrong motives. For example, you may assume willful noncompliance when a resident fails to follow your instructions, when in fact he or she may have a problem with memory and they can't remember what you told them. You may assume that a person is being manipulative when they take a long time to answer your question, when in fact they can think well but more slowly. It simply takes more time for the person to organize his or her thoughts. You may assume that a person is challenging you when they jump the gun, when in fact they have problems inhibiting their reactions. The problem is that unlike many forms of physical disability, such as blindness, deafness, paralysis, or missing limbs that are easily identifiable, there are few external signs of actual brain damage. Most people look just fine on the outside. It's the damage inside the brain that contributes to the problem. As a result, the biggest clue is often from their behavior. Reviewing available records can help you better understand the person, but unfortunately, such records are often limited. Sometimes the person does not even know that they have a brain injury due to misdiagnosis, and they have long been treated incorrectly for a different problem and often a wrong problem.